All right, ladies and gentlemen, whoever you are, wherever you are, we're glad you can be with us. Welcome to the ULoL Campus Series here on College Star League. We're in week 5 with UC Santa Cruz against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. I am Daniel Degon Gonzalez, and with me, bringing the color to the color position, is Blaster Boy. How you doing, Blaster Boy?
I am doing absolutely great, Degon.
Okay, all right. I was like,
sorry,
what happened?
having a little trouble here with the overlay. So just give me 2 seconds.
No, it's perfect. So we're here with our week 5 matchup between these two teams. Both teams vying for the final playoff spot in their West 3 bracket. UCSC, Santa Cruz, 3-1. And so is Cal Poly SLO. We're going to call them the
Yes.
SLO boys. But yeah, so we've got the Slugs against the Mustangs. So those are lovely, super interesting mascots. The Slugs of Santa Cruz against the Mustangs of Cal Poly State University, San Luis Obispo. Gosh, that's so much to say.
Yeah, certainly a mouthful there, but we are getting through these bans. The bans are already long behind us at this point. Pretty much all standard bans here, nothing really out of the ordinary. If you watch much professional League of Legends, every single one of these will really make sense to you. None of these are pocket pick focused. These are all just very, very strong top meta champions at the moment, and Caitlyn is another one of them in the ADC role, of which the role that received 3 bans in this phase alone. So a lot of focus here. Caitlyn still gets through. Ezreal is still up there as well. He's not necessarily up there as a really super strong top pick, but more of a fallback pick for a lot of people. He's still in, let's say, the top 5 or 6.
Sure, absolutely. And with the changes with lethality, something that has made him a little bit more popular lately. A couple nerfs hit him in patch 7.3, but it really just took off his early damage, nothing more from there. Caitlyn, I think, is a very interesting first pick. Maybe not what we see. We assume Camille is up, Rengar is up, but the USCSC, I got a USCSC, UCSC, there we go, feels pretty comfortable with their AD carry, Durwes, just a little bit on Caitlyn. He has a pretty solid 80 carry lineup this season. I think 67% win percentage. So solid stuff from him on that champion. So they're going to go ahead and go with that. On the opposite side, though, Jace Top GG and AJ Feed picking up 2 other champions. Ezreal being picked for the bottom lane there for Salacious Crumbs, and AJ Feed getting himself on that OP Rengar. Rengar, again, another champion that was hit with nerfs. They removed the like Olaf immunity from him on his battle roar when he's fully stacked up.
Yeah, definitely some nerfs directed at Rengar pretty recently here. Might still be finding some CC immunity here, though, with the Morgana pick being hovered. Likely going down into that support role. But right now, we've got Maokai locked in, a star, the crowning jewel of our previous series that we just saw here on the Collegiate Star League just a little while ago. All 3 games was Shen versus Maokai, as far as I understand. So quite a lot of popularity with these picks, but we will not be seeing Shen versus Maokai. Instead, we'll be seeing Poppy versus Maokai, as that Morgana is locked in as well. Again, likely going into that support role for Cal Poly.
Right, and Poppy, very much a hard counter to Maokai's engage. Maokai's Twisted Advance gets stuck by the Steadfast Presence. Steadfast Presence, one of Poppy's abilities, prevents any dashes in the field around Poppy. So, and the Morgana pick also to prevent any sort of lockdown that Maokai or Elise or anyone else would be able to put on I guess, prime targets here that they want, that UCSC wants to lock down. So a lot of focus here on possibly getting the Rengar in and out safely, and then having a nice disengage with Steadfast Presence, or a way for the team to move forward as a unit. So interesting stuff there.
Yeah, speaking of ways to move forward, we've got a Rise and Karma locked in. Both of these champions hugely enabling in the forward momentum for a team. Between the Realm Warp and that AoE Karma Shield, which gives a speed up as well, there is going to be a lot of forward momentum here for UCSC throughout this whole game, really. And they will have a lot of options. We're seeing the final hover come through from Cal Poly, and they're just kind of taking their time cycling through whatever they want here.
Just a correction there. Everyone's correct. That's my fault. Twisted Advance ignores the Steadfast Presence. So just Poppy, just massive tank. We've seen what she can do in the right hands and just be that disgusting frontline champion. All the videos of how hard it is to play ADK in 2017. Usually it has to do with some sort of tank or Poppy there in the mid lane, but or in the top lane, just being the frontline monster it is. But a Kassadin is locked in here for them in the mid lane for Happy Birthday for UC, I guess Cal Poly SLO. And what are your thoughts on that there? So Kassadin in the mid lane with Rise. How does that fit into that team composition?
Well, ultimately, this is a pretty mobile composition overall, and they have a lot of ways to weave in and out of fights pretty effectively. And I feel like the mobility is going to be really key, as their damage is pretty high. Kassadin and Rengar will both be deleting people in the mid parts of the late game, and of course the late game itself. But it does take a bit of time, particularly for this Kassadin to really scale up. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how this works out. Not a common pick right now is this Kassadin. I feel like he fits really well in keeping that mobility trend going that I just touched on a moment ago, though.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment of the team here. And interesting note, Rise went ahead and switched at the very last second to Exhaust, removing Ghost. So I guess afraid of getting bursted by a couple champions, maybe buying himself some time if Rengar jumps on him or if Poppy jumps on him or a late game Kassadin jumps on him. So you have a pretty quintessential team fighting comp here on the side of UC Santa Cruz. It does look like they just want to go ahead and play through Elise, get a nice teleport play by Maokai, get an early lead, and then group, and then just slowly push their way through. One thing that is lacking here is a solid form of wave clear. Do they have wave on the side of use of Cal Poly SLO? Kind of interesting because you don't have an AD carrier that builds Runons. Kassadin does have abilities to go to wave clear, but it's not like something that's built in and innate, like a Rise, like a Caitlyn, an AoE, Arcane Smash, like Maokai. So Karma can poke for days. So that'll be something to look out for here. If SLO gets behind, they're going to have trouble catching back up if the siege composition, or I guess the sieging potential of having a Caitlyn on the side of UCSC gets them locked up under a tower. It'll be interesting to see how they want to engage and move forward from that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be pretty difficult for them to really break many of the sieges. Like you said, the lack of wave clear, their engage is kind of spotty to some extent as well. Being pretty reliant on, say, a Poppy getting a teleport flank down or the Kassadin getting a teleport flank. There's a few different ways that Cal Poly can really work around this, but it is going to be difficult nonetheless.
It is going to be difficult, but one thing that isn't difficult for the College Star League is communicating as a part of a social app. It is Band Gaming. Thank you so much to them for being our primary social app of College Star League, with as many features as creating groups, which is good for your CSL team or club or anything you do in college, boards, calendar functions, polls, and chats, and as of recently, call functionality. Band is a premier social experience for you and your fellow gamers alike. Follow us and figure it out for yourself if it's good for you at band.us/home, or find them in your Google Play or App Store. Thank you so much to Band Gaming for making the College Star League possible. Twitch Gaming, obviously the biggest and best broadcasting platform for gamers. It wouldn't be possible without them. And Azus. Thank you so much to Azus. So after this short break, we're going to get into the game between UC Santa Cruz and Cal Poly. Don't touch that browser.
Only $14.99.
Don't miss the call. Download Band. Communication made easy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rift for our Week 5 Group Stage West 3 matchup between UC Santa Cruz against Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And this is for the marbles to move on to the playoff bracket here in West 3. The two Californian teams here tied for second place behind Simon Fraser, one of the powerhouses in North America in the collegiate scene, as we do have a little bit of action early on, nothing too much. Teetervis getting caught out there. But so at stake is this playoff spot here. All the teams are split up into brackets for regions, and the top two of each bracket will move on. So with two teams at 3-1, and the one team in front of them has already beaten both of them, it's going to be interesting to see how hard these two teams play for this final spot here. So we've went over the stakes. We talked a little bit about the team composition. Let's talk about the players themselves. And starting on the blue side, it's UC Santa Cruz. The Slugs in the top lane, we've got Alex. At jungle, we've got Ranged Pro. In the mid lane, it's I Am Eternal. At AD carry, it's T. Der Wes. And at support, it's Slap Pwned.
And then on the red side, we have Cal Poly. I'm not even going to attempt the full name. J-Stop GG in the top lane. AJ Feed in the jungle. Happy Birth Dizay in the mid lane. Salacious Crumbs at ADC and Hoplite at support. So, right into the action here, right into these lanes. Jungle starts pretty standard. What's kind of not standard is some of these picks here, Cassidy, Morgana, and Elise. Some of the really big highlights. I have seen, this is the second Elise that I've casted now in the past few days, so she could very well be on the rise again and coming back into the meta here. But in the grand scheme of things, she's not very common at the moment, at least not that I'm aware of. So very interesting to see her returning to the Rift again. And man, Eternal is really bullying around Happy in this mid lane on Cassidy. And something interesting to note was we were seeing the Teemo hovers and stuff in Champ Select, and you might think automatically, oh, well, they're just kind of messing around, they're just having a bit of fun with their hovers and everything. But Happy Perfizday actually plays quite a lot of Teemo, but here's a gank up top.
Here is the gank up top. Nice little flash away by Alex, but it seems like it's just going to be a matter of time. Something that he doesn't have. Turns around, gets the arcane smash, but it's top. Jace being the number one up there. GG for that first kill. He's going to pick it up. Nice assist by AJ Feed.
Yeah, really nice kill there from AJ Feed. It's great to be able to get ganks off like that on Rengar so early. Definitely not something you see work out every day, and this bodes incredibly well for J-Stop GG on this Poppy pick already. Fantastic start for Cal Poly. But to dip back to my point real quick, if we've got any amount of time here, we may not actually. Looks like it will diffuse. No, Happy Birthday, man. That is a tough one.
You're having a little bit of trouble there with the Cassidy name.
Yeah. No, he actually plays a lot of Teemo. He has 78 games on Teemo this season alone.
What a terrible person.
I know, it's crazy. With an over 50% win rate on that champion as well. He has more games on Teemo than Cassidy by about 30 or 40. So on paper, it would have been more viable for him to have picked the Teemo, as that's something he has even more experience on than this Cassidy. Sort of an oddity. Definitely not something that you would consider something that he would be inexperienced on, though. in comparison to the Teemo, at least, when you're measuring your average player. Very, very interesting set of picks, interesting champion pools here overall.
Yeah, touching base, I did wanted to touch on it. These players are all platinum and gold with the exception of Hoplite. Hoplite is diamond, but mostly platinums in for both of these teams here. So looking out for that. Kind of one tricks, kind of like a Teemo in the mid lane, but he looks getting himself out of a gank. Twisted advance into AJ Feed. AJ Feed not getting the snare down, so that's not going to work out for him. But there's a gank in the top lane with Elise coming in. Range Pro getting stopped by the Steadfast Presence. Great play there by Jace Top GG. AJ Feed almost going to his namesake, walking right into the Elise, but nice play by the top laner to keep his jungler safe.
Yeah, actually, in stark contrast to some of the ranked, I'm not sure exactly how the lobby displays ranks in with the two different rank queues, but at least according to the op.gg, Happy is actually master tier, and it seems like most of these players, at least from what I was looking at, are platinum to the diamond range, so decently high ranked here, like you said, all around the same area, but Happy definitely seems to be a pretty standout player across either of these rosters.
Awesome. Thanks, client. Thanks, Rito. Make it look good, but display bad information. Awesome, awesome. 0 for 2 today. Either way, we're 6 minutes into the game. A relatively big 1K gold disparity so far between these two teams. Poppy kind of taking it to the Maokai and, losing lanes all over the place, except in the bot lane for UC Santa Cruz. But an 1,000 gold lead off of First Blood it's pretty massive right now, and we'll see what the next major play is going to be. These junglers both on the bottom side of the map. The Infernal Drake is up, one of the more, I guess, important drakes to pick up early on in the game. You pick it up earlier, it scales very nicely as you get your items.
Yeah.
So both teams kind of just positioning themselves here. Nice binding landing by Hoplite, and Teeter West just kind of have to take that one right in the face and take a loss there. He is up 10 CS, so they're farming quite well, but still kind of waiting for team action to happen here.
Yeah, definitely looking out for that. Like you said, the Infernal Drake very much sought after by any team really to pick it up, and there's not really any standout champion or set of champions that make either team want it more. Generally, if you see something like a Jhin, then you can automatically say, okay, well, that team will really want it more with the Jhin, since he just gets so much flat AD by having his crit and attack speed, of course, converted into more and more attack damage. As the game goes on, he benefits more from that than just about any other champion in the game, certainly more than any other ADC. Doesn't really exist here for either of these teams, so definitely will be something that both these teams will just really, really want for themselves, and just equally not for the enemies. Slap-Pwned taking a little bit of damage, not too much through that shield in the end, but a lot of money going over to Hoplite. Really solid binding accuracy so far.
Yeah, I really liked that guess there. Slap-Pwned juked into the binding. And, Hoplite just kind of, as we said, he's got amazing accuracy. He misses that last one. But, yeah, I guess talking about champion select here, I thought it was funny and kind of peculiar that you've got the meta in AD carry right now is kind of being like the engager. So you have a lot of Varus, a lot of Caitlyn, and both of these guys went with more traditional AD carries and traditional damage AD carries, and it doesn't seem like they're being punished with it right now. No teleport plays, no teams overextended. Failed gank attempt here by AJ Feed, and that information was seen. So if you look at your mini-map there, you can see Elise on the top side of the map is going to counter jungle. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Punish the enemy jungler if they go for something and it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, we see the reversal and pressure up in this top lane right now from Elux. He was able to completely shove this top wave in, and he really tried to brute force that push so that his jungler would be safe, so that Range Pro would not be at too much risk of Jace Top maybe trying to roam down and contest that red buff take. Elux maybe in a dicey position here. He is able to get out. He's trading, honestly, pretty evenly in spite of his gold deficit, but this is going to all change right now.
Yep, on the hunt pot, and Elux able to get out, forced to flash. Again, we didn't see the flash, but if you look in the top left-hand corner of your screen, you can see the summoner. It's gone, so another semi-success for AJ Feed. You know, you like to get a kill off of the thrill of the hunt the first time because you want to get rolling, you want to go ahead and get the gold going in your pockets, especially when you're getting counter-jungled, as you see Elise pick up another red buff. But that didn't quite happen, so he's got to deal with just a semi-success, and he's going to have to find success by going back to that lane later.
And now this bot lane roaming up from Cal Poly. They're looking to catch out Range Pro here in the river.
Yep, Range Pro in a little bit of trouble. Eternal gets exhausted, forced to flash away, and it does look like both those champions might be safe. Flash forward, happy birthday, celebrating. And down it goes, going to hand it over to Salacious Crumbs. And so what looked like to be a 2v1 catch, it ends up being a 4v2. And instead, Range Pro and I Am Eternal forced out of the lane.
Yeah, and with that kill picked up onto the jungler, now this dragon is completely open for Cal Poly. Now they're going to be able to put pressure onto this. They've already started it. Their AJ Feed moved down to the bottom side of the map in order to contest it. And he is able to get it with a very secure smite. There was a lot of pressure on him there, honestly. Even though there's no jungler, you're still at a huge amount of risk when there's that much damage that can come over the wall so quickly from champions such as Caitlyn and Karma. So, keeping a cool head there. Not panicking or anything like that. Really solid play from Cal Poly, just completely pulling that, using their pressure down bottom, spreading that around the map. That's something we saw a little bit of from Jace Top in the top lane earlier, where he roamed into the blue side jungle of UCSC. And man, they're just kind of walking near each other and not really doing much of anything.
Right. I think based off of the way the champions were chosen here, both teams want to just kind of farm, and they're going to wait for their own fight. No one's being very proactive here, and I think it's kind of disappointing to watch this, you know, to kind of see more of a tempered, tempered pace. AJ Feed coming in, but the Rengar symbol shown on those champions on the bottom side of the map. But now we do have a fight in the mid lane. I Am Eternal getting a nice combo off 1-2 and gets good damage down. Happy birthday. Getting the worst end of that trade and forced to retreat a little bit. So I Am Eternal flexing his muscles on the rise, getting a nice combo off.
Yeah, and getting kited as Caston is always a very big risk. If you can close that gap immediately and get your damage in and then just kind of walk out with that shield from the, from the Null Sphere, his Q, that's only a magic shield. That's perfect against the rise to just jump in, deal damage, get out. If you take anything on the way out, the shield should just cover it. But if you're not able to get that combo down, if you're not able to close the gap as quickly as you like, and you get a little bit greedy, you can just very easily get kited, get it turned around on you, and you're just going to be in prime position for this exhaust at really every opportunity for I Am Eternal. So if it goes really, really sour, he can just completely turn that on its head and maybe even pick the kill back up. Rise has a considerable amount of lockdown.
He does indeed, and if the Elise is nearby, they can go ahead and chain their CC and find something, but they haven't been able to quite find anything yet. Early trinket, an early blue ward pickup here for Jace Top, spots out the fact that both jungler and mid lane are at the blue buff. Let's see if that information is used by SLO, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, but it doesn't look like it is. Unless right here, there it is, AJ Feed coming in, Range Pro in a little bit of trouble. The attack forward, and Range Pro has nowhere to go. Easy kill picked up so far. And again, it all started with getting that blue trinket down and getting vision. But a little bit more happening now. Elux in a little bit of trouble and goes under the tower, gives the assist over to Cassidy. It's another kill, Jace Top GG. And those that are being proactive are the ones being rewarded. It's Cal Poly San Luis Obispo on top right now, leading the charge.
Yeah, not only did Cal Poly get that kill off successfully with the dive under the turret, the gold spread around, now they're going to get damage on this turret as well, but they also burn Elux's flash again. They get the flash out of the Maokai with another gank from AJ Feed, and they successfully kill him this time. Hoplite styling on Teeter West here, just not really caring all that much at all. This could be really bad for Cal Poly.
There's the chain CC that we were talking about earlier. Top Jace getting a little aggressive, but no, instead he puts down the lollipop and says, see you later, big boy. Down goes Ranged Pro, and out goes SLO with another kill on the top lane. Now in the river, the mid laner's going at it. Happy Birth Dizzy does not like wards, gets rid of that one, but forced to go ahead and retreat. I Am Eternal has to back up. Slap Pwned roamed up. But really, nothing here for UC Santa Cruz to pick up.
Yeah, and that was the type of kiting that we're going to continue seeing from this Rise as the game goes on, until this Cassidy can really get to the point where he can considerably burst Rise and force him to run away after he throws a single combo. This kiting around will continue happening, and this Cassidy will proceed to lose more and more of these trades. More of these skirmishes will start going the way of this Rise, especially thanks to that Storm Raiders partially enabling him to really go in with one or two combos and run himself right back out safely. Hoplite forcing a fight down bottom.
Yeah, Hoplite goes in and gets the flash and heal out of the opposing bottom lane. Again, just proactive choices here being made by SLO, and UCSC is having trouble keeping up, and kind of having, I guess maybe through the mid lane, maybe through Rise is how you catch up. Caitlyn is farming relatively well, up 14 CS right now. So there are options here, but the options are starting to run out.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we jump down, well, AJ Feed actually pulls a directed camera right down to the Dragon Pit. That is a Mountain Drake coming up next. So that'll be a really good point for Cal Poly to focus on coming up. Neither of these top laners have TP though. So Jace Top is really just going to look to try to contain Elix up here and just keep him hanging around, and ideally he might honestly want to try to shove out as quickly as he can so that he can make the roam happen.
Oh yes, Teeter West in a little bit of trouble. Here comes AJ Feed, has the black shield. Does get hit with the 90 caliber net. Well, Realm Warp coming down now, so AJ Feed may be overextending. Lots of damage coming down. I Am Eternal picks up the first kill for UCSC. Everyone, don't worry, you can still re-enroll at UCSC. It's not going to be a shutout.
Lack of awareness there from AJ Feed and Cal Poly as a whole. It felt like I feel like they should have just been pinging him out almost immediately as soon as they saw that Realm Warp starting to come down. And you could say maybe he was a bit too deep to run out, but he was much closer to be able to get out there than when he jumped in onto the Caitlyn, regardless of what was coming in behind him. I guess it was okay to try to brute force the kill, but I feel like he should have just pulled out as soon as that Realm Warp came through. Way too much risk, even if he had gotten it. It still would have been a 1-for-1 at best, and it still would have been a jungler down for Cal Poly, which resulted in this Dragon now going over to UCSC. Skirmish around mid as Cal Poly tries to find something to continue this lead growth and push down this mid turret.
All right, so the lead now down to 3,000. But the Infernal Drake on the side of SLO here, so definitely things going their way. I just still am having trouble getting over these team comps, as we might see Jace Top just solo out Elux in a lot of trouble, forced to flash again as soon as it comes off, and now we'll be trying to get the damage down. Not even close. AJ Feed coming in and stealing that one away from Jace Top GG. And with that, that's going to be the first tower of the game as well. Tough game so far for the top laner and the jungler of UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, really rough start. AJ Feed just finding consistent success up on this top side of the map, and now taking away this blue buff from UCSC as well. And this is what's really going to happen. When a lead like this is found for a lane, such as the Poppy, and it's just versus a tank matchup, there's not a lot of hope of this Maokai just being able to come back on his own, so he's going to have to try to freeze the lane and get as much farm as he can, and well, just hope for really, really good TPs as this game goes on. But the problem is it's much more difficult, significantly more difficult, to execute proper teleport plays when you are so far behind, especially when compared to the ease that your opponent will have success, will be finding success in their teleport plays when they're so far ahead as a tank. This is incredibly rough for UCSC. Elux needs to just get out of that lane, find something else around the map if he can, but the windows are just going to be so small. Cal Poly is now going to be able to spread that lead across the map as Jace Top will get to roam more, and AJ Feed is doing pretty well for himself as well, getting a kill off of that last gank up there. That lead is not something that's going to be just contained to one lane. UCSC looking for the play here on the mid turret, though. Looks like they'll get it.
Yep, and we talked about this earlier. This is the strength of UCSC. There's a lack of wave clear on the side of SLO, so if they're able to go ahead and catch a numbers advantage and really go in under a tower, they're going to find a success. AJ Feed gets absolutely deleted, living up to his name. Jace Top GG doesn't care. He just walks all over the traps, gets damage down on Elux. Realm Warp in, not going to find anything because of a couple of flashes. So nice little play there by UCSC. Again, the team that has been the initiator is the one that's finding success.
Yeah, and grouping up like this is exactly what UCSC wants to be doing, like you just touched on a second ago. Sieging like this is really where they're going to excel with this Caitlyn, this range advantage, the wave clear, this much superior wave clear from this Ryze, being able to get them to that turret quickly, even with a Realm Warp to assist as well. Superior diving with this Maokai and Elise in the front line. They just have so many options to really pick the fights that they want. They just need to they don't really even need a gold lead to do it, as we just saw there. They just need to be close enough to Cal Poly that they can stand to do some damage on whoever they pick off.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, touching it base with the Twitch chat, that's what everyone's saying. Just group up. Group up. You win the 5v5. So far, all the kills have been off 1v1s or 2v1 ganks from Rengar. Just group up. But one thing that's not going to help is Eternal getting caught under the tower. Here comes the ult. Flash away. He goes down. Now slap pwned. Getting slapped and pwned. Down he goes. AJ Feed making up for that last kill. And picks up not only a kill, but the tower as well. And just like that, SLO turns on the go button and goes and picks up himself a solid lead. Elux now in a little bit of trouble. The tower being used as part of the stun. And right now, UCSC is out of wits. They're not exactly sure what to do. The siege continues. And Teeter West and Range Pro staying back at a nice distance. The tower will be going down, all the while on the bottom side of the map. Happy Birth Dizzy getting his cake too, picking up another tower.
Yeah, and I mean, in stark contrast to UCSC's success just a moment ago, Cal Poly, the picks are the name of the game for them. If they can pick apart this composition that just wants to sit back, and they either want to sit under their own turret, they'll be very safe as a whole unit, I feel, or they want to be sitting at your turret where they can be the ones to make the call to go. When you pick them off one by one like that, or even 2 or 3 by 1, if they're not a 5-man unit, that's where UCSC really starts to struggle, it seems like. And Cal Poly, that's where their comp excels. They want to take these skirmishes, pick this team comp apart piece by piece, and then that's how they find the victory. That's how they find the objectives. And boy, did they find some objectives there. Just a handful of kills, but they got nearly as many turrets as they did kills there, finding 3 in total, if my math is correct. And now they're looking to find this dragon as well. Ocean Drake spawning. Elux in dire straits right now.
Yes, he is. Elux getting absolutely picked on. Yet another kill. Jace Top GG. You can call him Santa Claus because he's delivering all the gifts to Happy Birth Dizzy. Another kill. Just what I wanted. Another tree. And now Teeter West in a little bit of trouble. The chains go down, and down goes Teeter West. AJ Feed picks up 1. No, it's actually going to be Salacious Crumbs getting all of the sandwich. It's another kill. 2-13. Not looking good right now if you're the side of UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, and again, to touch on this pick potential to Cal Poly, they make the play top, and guess what? They sent the 2 members with teleports up there to get that pick. They kill off the only tank, the only person that can afford to be in a side lane and quickly group with his team. They pick him off, and then they both use their teleports to get back to that fight, completely secure it in their favor, and now they take the Baron as well. Cal Poly is on the fast track, in spite of SLO being in their name, to take this game.
Cal Poly definitely on the fast track, both teams living up to their names. The Mustangs kicking it in high gear, and the Slugs, the banana Slugs, getting eaten and moving really slow. Right now, 13-2 is your score, 45,000 to 33,000, a solid 12,000 gold lead, and Cal Poly really in the driver's seat. The only thing that could go ahead and really derail that is probably a DUI, the absolute disaster of being in the driver's seat. So hopefully they will not do that. And if you're UCSC right now, you've got to rethink your composition. Your composition kind of looks like it was made in 2016, a team fighting composition, kind of an overall team here. Surprised again about some of the picks here. We didn't see a lot of the mage supports. We didn't see a lot of the engage AD carries. I guess you talked about at least kind of being in the meta, but there are other champions that were up, and there goes Slap Pones. He's not up. He's actually down. And maybe Champ Select is where UCSC needs to go ahead and rethink their strategy here for game 2.
Yeah, and I mean, if I look over the list of the champions that Range Pro has a lot of games on, in solo queue, at least is not one of them. He has 29 games on Jarvis most played, 19 Rek'Sai, 14 Lee Sin, 12 Sejuani, and it just goes down from there. Win rates, not much to write home about on a lot of those, except for the Sejuani. That seems to be something he excels on. I'll be interested to see if UCSC decides to pull that out in the next game. Regardless of the result here, Eternal not having a good time, man.
Eternal definitely not having a good time. Elux having trouble in the bottom lane too. Shout out to Misty Mountain. He said exactly what I'm thinking. There's not much of a comeback for inting, and that's what's exactly happening right now if you're the side of UCSC. Out. AJ Feed in the base, doesn't care. Slap pwned again, taken down. More kills, more turrets. Give me all of the gold, says SLO. And they're going to go ahead and push into the base. 2 towers, 2 inhibitors with the Baron-empowered minions. Will they go in for the win? It does look like they will. Teeter West and Range Pro, the only one left. Another binding landing from Hoplite. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. Easy win so far. Happy birth. Dizzy on a rampage. Picks up another kill. I Am Eternal gets punched right back to the fountain. And I think that was the fastest move they made the whole game. Eternal getting punched back into the fountain. There he is. Goes back down. Elux again. Wants another death. Let's get him to 7, he says. SLO more than happy to go ahead and try and do that. Happy birthday going into the tower. Picks up a kill, and that's going to be the end of the game. 21-3. An absolute stomperino for the side of SLO. Putting it down. The Stangs over the Slugs in the first match.
What an absolutely dominant game from Cal Poly there. They were on fire that entire time. Incredibly inspiring play from them overall. Honestly, they were really solid from the start. Really kicking off with that kill from AJ Feed up in the top lane. Snowballing Jace top, pushing that lead around. And there's a constant kind of bad luck for Elux. Never being able to quite escape after that first flash away, after that first death comes through. And Cal Poly just took it from there. AJ Feed continuing his dominance across the map, and the bot lane being really on point with their skill shots, able to follow up when that Rengar came down if they weren't able to secure the kills themselves. Fantastic play across the board from Cal Poly SLO, and I'll be interested to see how they do in this next game, because there's a lot of things that UCSC has to be taking into consideration here.
Yeah, and again, I just point at Champ Select. You look up and down their team composition, Maokai, Elise, Ryze, Caitlyn, and Karma. You don't see an S-tier champion anywhere in there. But you look on the other side right there, you can see the Rengar. Rengar is permabanned in professional play for a reason. Kind of falling off a little bit now, especially with the nerfs that are going to be going into effect here in the next couple of weeks in 7.3. but there's a reason why. And if you look across the board, 7, 2, and 8 facilitated kills, got kills himself, stole a couple from Jace Top GG, scumbag jungler. But either way, AJ Feed facilitated the match. So maybe it's the player. Hopefully it's the player, because we want everyone to do well. But it's really easy to look at and say it's definitely one of the champion picks that they got. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and take a short break before getting into game 2 between UC Santa Cruz and Cal Poly SLO. Can UC Santa Cruz pick themselves up off the floor, dust it off, and show that slugs can go ahead and be a little bit more resilient than just getting stepped on? After the break, we'll find out.